Hopefully, at this point, we have a plan in place for what type of bridge we want to make, or we're getting to that point where we have a plan. Now let's get some hints about how to build our bridge and what it will take to win the competition.
Let's talk briefly now about how to build the bridge. One of your keys to success will be plenty of glue. These sticks are very, very dry. They have very low moisture content. And obviously, when you go to build a bridge of this magnitude, you're going to have to start gluing sticks together. So, the recipe for success: lots of glue on the stick, smear them in, let them skim up, let the glue skim up for a moment or two, and then put the sticks together. But that's not where it stops. The other key to success now is to clamp those sticks together, as we can see here or in these various samples. Again, once you decide how big the cross section is going to be, you're going to make that out of popsicle sticks. It's imperative that you put these things into clamps and maintain the pressure on the sticks for at least an hour. By that time, the glue will have dried and the sticks will become as one. In the testing, it should always be the wood that fails, never a glue joint. The key to success: lots of glue, lots of clamps. Obviously, when it comes to building one of these bridges, be it a W shape or a true truss, there are dozens of details to consider, and we couldn't possibly go over all of them here, so ask for advice. However, let me point one out to you right now. The concept of whatever it is that you're going to build, obviously, one popsicle stick is not going to do the trick for you because you've got members that are much longer than 110 mils in your bridge. So, what does that mean? That means that we have to start gluing sticks end to end as well. First step, let's square off the round ends. So now that we can have a cleaner and tighter butt joint, as we'll call it. The key to success now, when we get those two sticks together, then we're going to bring another one in and we're going to stagger that joint so that they're glued together. The key to success here is to make sure that we don't get too many of those butt joints in one particular location. So let's do a stagger pattern so that maybe every third or fourth stick, if we count across in the cross section, you'll see another butt joint. If I can demonstrate that, if we take a look at this true truss bridge here, we put it in the test jig, we loaded it to failure, this member is in tension. What happened? That's where it let go. And if I take a look at the cross section, the way the student built that, I can see 1, 2, 3 of those butt joints right in that same area. Created a weak spot in the bridge. It had no choice but to break at the weak link. So let's get those butt joints staggered. Make sure you don't get too many of them in one location. Next, and most importantly probably for you anyways, is how to win the competition. I have to point out that the bridge that carries the most load is not necessarily going to be the winner in this competition. Rather, the bridge with the highest performance rating is going to win this competition, where performance rating is calculated as the load at failure that the bridge carries, and I'll define that in a moment, divided by the self-weight of the bridge. And of course, the highest performance rating is going to win the competition. Now, first of all, load at failure. The bridge does not have to smash into 1,000 pieces to be considered load at failure. All that has to happen is the bridge ceases to carry load. And we'll give some demonstrations about that a little bit later on. Next, the concept of performance rating really refers to how many times its own weight the bridge can carry. Let's put this into perspective. Think about your own body weight and how many times your own body weight could you lift and walk away with. And I'm thinking if that answer is any greater than 2, I'm going to be pretty skeptical. Yet, one of the bridges in the most recent competition carried nearly 4,400 times its own weight. And that's just using popsicle sticks, white glue, and a little bit of knowledge about how a bridge goes together. So, it's not about building the strongest bridge, it's all about building the strongest but lightest bridge. You have to look at what you're constructing and determine if every little piece of it is going to help you carry more load. Because if it's not, you must get rid of it. Otherwise, all it's going to do is bring your performance rating down. So, once again, performance rating, load at failure divided by self-weight of the bridge. Let's talk about load at failure. Many people think the bridge has to smash into 1,000 pieces in order to be considered failure, but that's not necessarily true. In some instances, we've had bridges that we call single trusses entered into the competition. And when we put them into the test jig and we try to test them, what tends to happen is they go unstable on us and fall out of the test jig without breaking. Is that failure? I think so. If we built a bridge in real life and we had to chase it down the river every spring and bring it back to its original location, I think we'd call that failure. Secondly, in that performance rating equation, there is weight involved. And so what builders have found in the past is one way to save weight is to reduce the amount of support that they have. According to the dimensional rules, you're allowed 25 millimeters of maximum support. But builders quickly figured out that they didn't need the full 25 millimeters, that they could knock that down and hence save weight. And in the performance rating equation, without carrying another extra pound of load, if you can reduce your weight, your performance rating is going to go up. But there's a limit, because what happens is if we build that bridge so that it's just hanging on to the support, you have to understand that when we begin to apply load, the top of the bridge is actually going to get shorter as it deflects. And if it falls into the test jig without breaking, without any further breaking, we're going to call that failure. In other words, load at failure is the inability of the bridge to carry any more load. It doesn't have to be destructive. It can be this form of instability, and we will call that load at failure in calculating your performance rating. So, thus far we've spoken about the rules and how to enter and who can enter, but I think what will be of most value to you is to actually see a bridge being tested. So, let me introduce you to the Doctor of Destruction, none other than Super Mario himself. So, in this demonstration, we're going to test one of the W-shaped bridges or the simulated arch. So, the bridge is lined up in the testing jig. Super Mario brings it up to make contact with the testing head. Now, as we come over to the graph here, you're going to begin to see what we were talking about earlier. The graph begins to rise. The bridge is carrying load. It's currently performance rating of 900, over 1,000 times its own weight. It's currently carrying about 500 pounds. So, let's take a look now and we'll watch the bridge go to failure. Of course, a lot of screaming and yelling would help this bridge along the way. You're going to be right up beside your bridge watching Super Mario break this thing. It's currently nearly 3,000 times its own weight in that bridge. If we take a look at the graph here, the data, as we said, that bridge carried 1,310 pounds, or 2,968 times its own weight. That's pretty phenomenal. So, a reminder that, once again, you can only use the materials in this contest that came out of this year's bridge kit. That is, only the glue and only the sticks that come out of this year's bridge kit. No other material can be used in the contest, because if it is found that you inadvertently use yellow glue or you go out and buy a dowel, you will be immediately disqualified from the competition. So that's it. In essence, this contest is all about performance rating, building the strongest but lightest bridge that you can build, and learning about how structures go together, and having fun at the same time. There are big stakes and big prizes up for grabs here. There's fame, fortune, and glory. So let me wish you the best of luck.
One key element to this project is managing your time. Only bridges that 1. Meet the design specifications, and 2. Hold 50 times their weight will be entered into the Mohawk College competition. Since the glue takes a long time to dry, it is important to plan your time accordingly. 2 weeks sounds like a long time, but each year there are bridges that don't finish or that have to make last-minute modifications. Let's watch some past bridges break to get us motivated to build our bridges.